Hello and welcome to The Last Mixtape. My name's Stephen White, and on this week's show, we turn our lens to the Super Bowl as a border, Bad Bunny, Chappell, Roan, and the policing of pop culture. But first,
But really, I'm very excited to be doing the Super Bowl, and I know that people all around the world who love my music are also happy, especialmente todos los latinos. Todos los latinos y las latinas en el mundo entero, y aquí en los Estados Unidos, todas las personas que han trabajado para abrir puertas, más que un logro mío. Más que un logro mío, es un logro de todos, demostrando que nuestra huella y nuestra aportación en este país nadie nunca la podrá sacar ni borrar. And if you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn.
not my words, but the words of Bad Bunny. Why, dear listener, and indeed, dear viewer, were we just listening to the words of the Puerto Rican artist at the beginning of this week's show? Well, this week I thought we'd delve once more into the world of the NFL and the Super Bowl halftime show through the lens of the announcement of Bad Bunny's performance next February as part of the Super Bowl. And indeed, we'd cover the reaction from Donald Trump, the American right, and the threats levelled at the artist through ICE. Every few years, America performs its biggest ritual, the Super Bowl halftime show, a national mirror reflecting what the country wants to believe about itself, and in some cases, exposing what is real about itself. Every now and then, the mirror cracks, and America's biggest stage becomes a cultural litmus test. From the persecution of Janet Jackson to Kendrick Lamar's reception last year, America's subtext becomes text on the biggest stage of them all. How the US media and commentators respond to the artist, the meaning and a message is in and of itself a message. And now, in the age of Trump 2.0, as ICE raids target anyone suspected of being an illegal immigrant and the deportation of US citizens under controversial circumstances, it's Bad Bunny's turn to step foot onto the NFL's legendary halftime stage. A global superstar born into Vega Bahia, Puerto Rico, whose music moves effortlessly between trap, reggaeton and protest, Bad Bunny's language is Spanish, one spoken by well over 40 million Americans. His art, an unfiltered embrace of Puerto Rican and Latin culture. And for some, that's already a step too far. To those who oppose it, Bad Bunny represents something terrifying. The very thing they've been trying to suppress and subdue. A version of the American experience that was always here, but never invited to perform. And one they seek to erase. As soon as the news broke, the backlash came fast. Online threats invoking ICE, a controversial masked, unchecked agency that claims to police American borders, is now pointed at a man born in American territory and his fan base. Commentators question whether he's American enough, with one TV host, conservative commentator Tommy Lorraine, struggling to remember that Puerto Rico is indeed an American territory. But these aren't mistakes. They're the same old ghosts of cultural ownership. The idea that America's stage belongs to certain voices, certain faces, certain languages. It's all white picket fences and apple pie patriotism, guarding the illusion of a single American identity. Indeed, with the stage, and much like the border, these Americans want to decide who gets to be seen and how they are presented. Bad Bunny's crying, for some, is simple. He doesn't translate. He doesn't perform the version of America they recognise. He writes, performs and sings in Spanish. His art is entirely his own, a reflection of the American dream seen through the Puerto Rican lens. In art, language isn't a barrier, it's a tool, one that can connect, communicate and for some, terrify, because it reminds them that diversity isn't divisive. But in Trump's America, division is the design. Divide et impera. Divide and rule. The same fear follows Chappell Roan, another artist crossing invisible lines drawn by the American right. Her recent open critique of Trump's ICE drew veiled responses from the Department of Homeland Security itself. Her drag-inspired performances, her unapologetic queerness, her defence of the LGBTQ+ community, all are triggering points for the professionally outraged. A feedback loop of fear and fury growing louder with every act of freedom performed in public. Indeed, to the right, both Roan and Bad Bunny have become symbols of a culture they can't contain. And so, they do what power always does when art refuses to behave. They try to police it. Now, let's be honest, there's a lot of people who will be looking at this news and be going, who cares? What does it matter if Bad Bunny's playing a show, and what does it matter the reaction that he is getting from Trump's organisation and Trump's regime, who seem to react to every single bit of news in this way? Well, it does matter, because culture itself matters, and representation within culture is a huge, huge thing, especially with an artist like Bad Bunny. For an artist like Bad Bunny, who is from Puerto Rico, who is very proudly from the region, who is very proudly speaks in Spanish and performs and creates his art in Spanish, this is important, because the Trump regime is a regime that put down the people of Puerto Rico through their campaign when Tony Hinchcliffe was there and making fun of their very community. Now, even more so in the last couple of months and the beginning of Trump's second reign, we've seen ICE, a division of the American Border Patrol, running riot through towns across America and arresting people. It is something that is, from my view here in Ireland, incredibly reminiscent of things you've seen in places like the Stasi. You see things in like secret police used by authoritarian regimes in order to control the people. It's therefore no surprise that when Bad Bunny was announced, that this is somebody to them, to the Trump regime, that they do not like, that they do reject, that the threats of ICE being there at the show are made basically to threaten him, to threaten his fans, to say, you can come here, but we'll get you. There's something in it as well. I was watching a Josh Johnson stand-up piece about this, and he was speaking about, obviously there have been performers before him. Last year we had Kendrick, who did a show that was in itself a commentary within the boundary of a Super Bowl halftime performance, a commentary though on America itself. And basically saying, well, if you didn't like Kendrick, which a lot of people were afterwards, a lot of these types of people at least, were saying they didn't understand him, they didn't understand rap wasn't music, all of those kind of tired old cliches. But basically he was saying, well, if they didn't like him, somebody performing and singing in Spanish was definitely going to rile them up as well. And he's absolutely right. And it's incredible for Rock Nation, who you can have your problems and you can think what you want about them and their own kind of type of late state capitalism. It is incredibly bold of them to pick Bad Bunny, because look, he deserves to be there. He's a huge, huge artist who means so much to so many people, and he speaks in his native tongue. Now, I'd be remiss at this point not to point out that in the last couple of episodes we've been talking about Kneecap, a band who are from Ireland, my country, who perform in their national language, Irish, and perform in it and use that as a tool and an expression of culture. There are huge parallels between the two, and you could even say there are parallels in a lot of ways between the Puerto Rican people and the Irish people. We both know what it is like to have our culture and our identity quelled and quashed by an imperialist nation. As I say, it's a lot to put on one person's shoulders. It's a lot to put one person through, but he seems, from everything I've seen, somebody well able to do so, and well able to, in the moment, stand up for himself and stand up for his people. Indeed, as I say, he stood up for the people of Puerto Rico against Trump and against Tony Hinchcliffe when they came at the people of Puerto Rico during the campaign. And I've no doubt that he's seen all the ICE raids across America, as many people have, and has been worried about that. So all these things will be at play when his performance come out. Now, obviously, anything you see on TV, and again, I'm kind of para-quoting Josh Johnson with this, but anything you see on TV, on the movies or anything, has been passed by some sort of censor. Somebody's allowed it, somebody hasn't allowed it. Somebody has said yes, even if it seems like the most rebellious thing in the world. So for Bad Bunny, he will have to play within those confines, much like Kendrick, by using a subtext and meaning and metaphor to portray what he wants to say, will be something quite powerful. But these type of American apple pie and picket fence patriots look at someone like Bad Bunny and think that he is not presenting and he is not representative of them. And I think that says quite a lot about the culture. And that's what we talk about a lot here on The Last Mixtape is culture. What culture says about us and what culture doesn't say about us. And sometimes the thing that we don't want culture to say about us. And indeed, in this case, with America and Trump and his supporters, it does say something about them that this person who is American, who performs in Spanish, a widely spoke language in America, and he's not even the first Latin American performer to perform at the Super Bowl, is being attacked in this way, is being questioned in this way. His Americanism is being questioned because to them, he is not part of it. He is not part of their idea of America. And they want to control that. Much like all authoritarian regimes, there is a level of control in the narrative of the media itself. It goes back to Mussolini putting himself in fairy tale stories. It goes to Goebbels putting stories and movies out and radio plays about Hitler all out there for him to see. It's one of the standard things they do, but always in these realms and in these circumstances, you do see people rise up and push against it because art is a form of expression. It is culture in and of itself. The society is a tree, culture is the fruit upon it. So this is an incredible moment. And Bad Bunny seems like an artist to me who's going to stand up for that and say that he belongs, his people belongs, the Spanish voice belongs, the Latin American experience, the Puerto Rican experience is the American experience, and that the people will love it. There's a huge amount of fans. He's sold millions of records. He's been in movies. I've seen him as well perform for wrestling as well. It was an incredible reception when he wrestles in Puerto Rico against Damian Priest. With an incredible moment. His entrance is something you should definitely look up. But that's an incredibly important thing. It's because the people dictate the culture, not the government dictating the culture to them. And that's always going to be a sore point, and it's always going to be a rubbing point. It's the one thing they can't take away from people, but it's the one thing they always try. And you see it a bit here, equating it once again to an Irish experience, which I can only speak of. I am not Puerto Rican and I'm not Latin American, so I can only look at it from an outsider's perspective. And I will link below to creators and artists and people on YouTube who are speaking about this from a far more informed opinion on the Latin American experience. But speaking about it from an Irish experience, we see a lot of that in our own community. There is indeed a rise of ultra-nationalism and the far right here in Ireland, whether or not they want to agree with it or not, or whether or not they want to admit to it. These fuckers will attack somebody who is Irish, who's talking about the Irish experience, and if they are an immigrant, or they are somebody from an immigrant family, or they are a descendant of immigrants, they will say that they are not Irish, or they are not able to speak about the Irish experience, when 100% they are. They are a part of it. They are an integral part of it. But you get these absolute fuckers going around talking about and pretending like they own the culture, which is what they always want to do. It may be very different here in Ireland. We do not have a Super Bowl. We do not have a place where this all comes to a head, but it does come up. There are so many Irish artists who will have experienced this. Some ultra-nationalists or some right-wing lunatic in the internet with like Michael Collins or Padraig Pearse or sometimes flowers in their profile or whatever, calling themselves, Wolf Tone 255 or something like that, and saying that you don't belong here, you can't speak of the Irish experience, you can't use the Irish language, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, because as they say, they want to control it because they're afraid, and this is what a fear response is. They want to control the culture itself. And let's be perfectly honest, all these people who do that, these people who point at a person who is from a country and say, you don't belong here, your experiences belong here, your culture is not a part of our culture, you cannot integrate into ours, are fucking racists. We're not going to I'm not shocking anybody by saying this, but that's what it is. And for artists to have to stand up for themselves, to have to constantly to justify themselves to these lunatics is a horrible thing. A lot of these people are sad and lonely people who their own family probably don't even listen to them anymore, and they're just in an algorithmic loop of hate, nationalism and misplaced patriotism where they want to exclude others from it because they feel excluded from the world themselves. They want to feel like they can hone in and they can control what the culture is. And isn't it just a coincidence that the culture is and looks exactly like them? So Bad Bunny at Super Bowl will be one of those monumental moments. And it's very interesting to see that once again, the Super Bowl in a lot of ways has become the talking point or the meeting point, or at least a litmus test for where America is right now. On February 8th of next year, in Santa Clara, California, Bad Bunny will step onto the stage to greet America and the world at large. This will be a moment with so much on one person's shoulders. On that day, Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio will defy everything Trump's twisted vision of America is. And as only a performer can, he will do it through music. You can tell a lot about a country by who it lets hold the microphone and who they want to snatch it away from. On that night, Bad Bunny will hold the mic. And right now, with America still wrestling with itself, with the grip of authoritarianism firmly clasped around its people, an artist from Puerto Rico will be the one doing all the talking. Every Super Bowl, we get a ritual, fireworks, flags, choreography, a story about unity or something close to it. The grandeur of the American dream. It's those white picket fences and apple pie patriotism again. People who don't want to be woken from the simulacrum of their own making. One of the biggest musicians on the planet on that day, Bad Bunny, is not on stage by mistake. He's there because he belongs there. His songs aren't made for translation, they're made for feeling, to connect and portray the modern Latin American experience through rhythm, sweat and noise. His refusal to make himself smaller, to translate, to present, to fit a flag that some don't understand belongs to him and the people of Puerto Rico too, is why he's so essential for this moment, much like Kendrick was last year. Trump's ice lapdogs may very well be all over the Super Bowl next year, trying to intimidate and suppress. That's because that's all they have. They don't have what Bad Bunny has, or what Chappell has for that matter. The right will always fear, the right will always be afraid. But art is about embracing every facet of the human experience in a multitude of ways. Authoritarianism holds on to fear. So, the same cycle repeats. Outrage, threats, ice jokes, the same tired fear dressed up as patriotism. You start to realise with all this, it's never really about music. It's about control and who gets to define what America looks like to those outside of it. About people so afraid to change that they'd rather burn the house down than let someone different in. So maybe this isn't about pop culture at all. Maybe it's about who gets to feel safe being seen. And maybe what they fear isn't that these artists don't belong in America, but America belongs to them too. And maybe in February, in a field in California, Bad Bunny will be America. So it goes, and there it went. Bad Bunny, the Super Bowl, and a constant battle for the American cultural identity. But what do you think? What do you think of Bad Bunny playing the show? What do you think of Bad Bunny as an artist? Do you think that it is a cultural grab by the American right to place themselves as American culture, and that to them Bad Bunny poses a threat to that very American identity? What do you think? Put it down in the comments below and let me know. And as always, thank you for watching the last mixtape. Please do, if you can, like and subscribe to this channel. It would be a great help. And I'll see you next week.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to believe. I don't know anything. I just know that there's always be people that gonna protect and defend our country and our culture, and that's the people that I wanna have around me.
Right.
And that's the people that I believe. And that's something that I also wanna inspire, promote with this project.
Right.